What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today.
All right, so it appears that Shaq made some, I don't want to say controversial, I guess controversial comments on TNT not too long ago about Steph Curry possibly being in the GOAT conversation. And I heard it got pretty live on ESPN First Take between Stephen A. and the panel. And I think my boy Mad Dog is on. Shout out to Mad Dog. Shout out to Doggy, man. Pretty much one of few, if not the only guy on the major networks that we see on the big stage in the spotlight that really fights, vouches for, and keeps the legacies of players of the past alive. That's why I love Mad Dog, and I think personally he's my favorite guy on these major networks because, you know, he's always like, hey, don't forget about the other guys. The guys that paved the way, the guys that were great and legends during their eras. These guys were phenomenal players too. Don't forget about them. That's Mad Dog. But let's see. This will be about a 10-minute long reaction because that's what the video... Well, the video's about 10 minutes long, but we'll see what I got to say afterwards. All right? Let's get into it. Now, I haven't seen this yet.
Steph Curry and the Warriors overcame a 17-point deficit to beat the Celtics in overtime. Steph led the way, 33 points, 20 of which came in the fourth quarter in OT, despite having 5 fouls the entire game. Real recognize real, folks. Here's Shaq on Steph Curry.
I'm wondering, not saying, I'm just wondering, because he's been consistently the best shooter his whole career. I'm wondering, is it time to start putting him as the best player of all time?
Best player? Oh, you put him over you?
In the conversation.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
You put him over you. You yourself put Steph Curry over you.
Yeah, this is why he's my favorite player. Cause
I'm not saying favorite. He might be my favorite too, but I'm just asking you think he's better than you.
I played 20 years, watched 20 years before that. I've never seen a guy like him. And he's doing it consistently, and he has championships.
You put him over Michael?
No, I'm not putting him anywhere. I'm saying,
okay,
you know, for all the chitter-chatter, is it time to just put him in the conversation?
No.
It's like what Stephen A.
Easy answer, no.
I put best dressed ahead of me.
It won't happen.
We'll take it to the streets. Jay, Will, is Steph worthy of GOAT consideration?
Dude, did you see Mad Dog's face? He's going to explode. I see he is holding it in right now. Look, I'm going to rewind that. Look at his face. Look at that. He's like, oh my God, I'm about to unleash. Do not let me talk.
We'll take it to the streets. Jay, Will, is Steph worthy of GOAT consideration?
First off, you know, it's funny when you have this conversation, I think you have to preface it by saying, if you don't say that Steph is not the GOAT, then you're not diminishing his greatness overall. To me, Steph, after winning a championship 2 years ago, Finals MVP, I think he cracked the top 10 all-time greatest, in my book. To say the GOAT conversation, there are 3 to 4 players in the GOAT conversation. If you want to put Bill Russell in that conversation, because ultimately the championships, I can respect that. He wouldn't be in mine, but I would have the likes of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If you want to tinker with Kobe being right there, I respect that. I know Kenny was talking about that last night. But to me, in that upper echelon, I have those 3 players with Kobe kind of right on the outside looking in. To me, that is the GOAT conversation. I think it's more relevant to have a conversation around Steph Curry being top 10 greatest of all time after what he's done over the last several years. That's me. I don't think that diminishes his greatness, Stephen A. That's not a slight to Steph. Steph is one of my favorite players to watch in NBA history. I think he's one of the best point guards to ever play the time. If you want to say he's the best point guard ever to play the game over Magic, that's fine. You can say that. I still would take Magic. But when you're talking about the best player to GOAT conversation, you are complete in so many aspects of the game. And I still think Steph, him being fairly above average as a defender, when I look at players like Kobe, when I look at players like MJ, like Bron, like Cap, different level defensively.
I'm glad he said that because that was going to be my point after I let them do their talking. But I'm just going to go ahead and say this real quick. Steph did not crack my top 10 yet. No. Steph is probably sitting at 11, 12, or 13 for me. I haven't really gave it much thought, but he could be either 11, 12, or 13. I have to sit down and think about it. But he is on the cusp of breaking my top 10 at some point. Maybe it's another championship and finals MVP. I don't know. We'll see how, we'll see what the future holds. But one thing Jay said, and I don't like any of these guys on the panel except Doggy, is what I was going to say. I was going to say this. To be in my GOAT conversation, you have to have been something close to... You can't be as poor of a defensive player as Steph Curry has been for the bulk of his career. Most guys in my GOAT conversation are average to elite defensively at some point in their career. Maybe there were moments where they were elite for, a couple years and were average other times, or maybe any given game they were average or elite. But they were never a liability. Steph Curry has been a liability on defense for a large portion of his career, and he has never, ever been elite defensively. And I don't want to hear the excuse about, he's small in stature, There has been elite players in this NBA at the point guard position that are small in stature that have been great at defense. I'm just saying. With defense comes effort, tenacity, and also basketball IQ on the defensive end. I'm just saying. Anywho, and I love Steph Curry. I do. I really do. I love watching him play. All right. I'll shut up. Let's continue.
Jay Williams, with all due respect, that soliloquy was unnecessary.
It was very necessary for me to defend my point.
You don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize for it. You don't have to sit up there and couch and hedge everything. No, he's not the GOAT. He's not the GOAT. He's not the greatest of all time. When you talk about the greatest of all time, you talk about Michael Jordan, you talk about LeBron James, you talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, my estimation, period.
Yeah.
Having said that, the real question is, does he warrant the consideration? The answer is yes. Not as a defender. We know we know he's suspect as a defender, but does he warrant consideration? It's very, very simple. He is the greatest shooter God has ever created.
Okay.
And we're not talking about somebody. And here's where I keep trying to crystallize this for people, Jay, just so you know. Of course, Magic Johnson's the greatest point guard ever, quintessential point guard. But if you're talking about impact from the point guard position, you can have that debate about Steph Curry or Magic Johnson. Because, Doggy, what I'm talking about, don't break down the abilities. I'm talking about impact. When you look at Steph Curry's ability to move without the basketball and how it has defenders' heads on a swivel, from the moment he steps past half court, think about the fright, the fear that instills in an opposing defense. This brother can pull up from 10, 20, 30, 40. We've seen him shoot from 50. And I ain't talking about some Hail Mary launch. I'm talking about pull up. This brother is ridiculous. And when I look at it from that perspective, that's when I say, of course.
Hold on. How's my battery running low? Does somebody unplug my shit?
Of course he's not my GOAT because he's on the other side of the ball. He's average at best defensively. I take all of that into consideration. But when I think impact, somebody saying that about him doesn't make me say, that's just stupid, that's insulting. My answer would be no, but I understand where it comes from.
Oh, come on.
What? Wait, you just gave the same soliloquy I did.
Yeah, exactly.
It was quicker.
That wasn't that.
It was quicker.
You added nothing.
I can't with you.
You added nothing.
I can't with you.
First off, we got to hear Shaq now do this. Shaq is what? The fifth best center in the history of the NBA? Fifth.
What?
Shaq. What do you mean, what?
Who's the four ahead of Shaquille O'Neal? Have
like
you
me to
lost
name,
your
you want me to
damn
name
mind?
him for you?
What?
You want me to name
Sure,
him?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Kareem.
Okay.
Wilt.
No.
I'm not giving it to Wilt.
No, you guys are crazy.
You're not giving it to Wilt.
No.
You're not
I'm
going to
not.
put Wilt Chamberlain, who averaged 50 points a game and scored
Who
100
was
a
a
game in
foot
30
taller? Who was a
You're
foot
nuts.
taller
You're
than
nuts.
99% of the league?
The
Yeah.
most dominant player in NBA history. Who was stopping Shaquille O'Neal in any era?
And Tim Duncan is better than he is. Tim Duncan's better. And I tell you something, two other guys.
That's not a center. Tim Duncan's
He said, who was stopping? I'm sure all the Hakeem people have something to say about that. I mean, they saw what Hakeem did to Shaq in the finals. I'm just saying. But I got Wilt ahead of Shaq. I do. I got Kareem ahead of Shaq. I got Bill Russell ahead of Shaq.
Elijah Wan is better. Who beat him 4 straight
Two-time
games.
champion of Shaq's 4.
Shaq's
no
4.
scoring titles to Shaq's 2. What are you talking about?
And I'll tell you somebody else who's better. You can laugh all you want.
I love Hakeem, but he won Shaq.
Oh, he's the better.
Yeah, but Hakeem was like 1,000 times better defensively than Shaquille O'Neal too. And I got Shaq ahead of Hakeem, but you can argue like scrub, forget about championships and some of the other stuff, because Hakeem never had a Kobe Bryant, a Dwayne Wade, Penny Hardaway. You could argue that Hakeem was the far more skilled and better big man, and if he was in Shaq's shoes, he would have had probably more championships. But I digress. But I know a lot of people on this channel have Hakeem ahead of Shaq.
Better player than
And even if you include championships and accolades, Hakeem has enough there where he has a strong argument ahead of Shaquille O'Neal just off his defensive accolades alone.
Shaq. Oh, God, he's better. He killed. First off, he played Shaq and he beat him 4 straight games.
Define me better player. Tell me what better player means to you, doggy. I'm waiting for the definition, please.
Okay, first off, who did Shaq beat in the NBA final in the pivot?
It's not about who you beat.
Well, yes, it is. He beat Jason Collins, Rick Smits, and who was Philly's center?
Dikembe
And I'll tell you
Mutombo.
right now,
Dikembe Mutombo.
he's not better than Moses Malone.
What?
There's no chance. Don't give me that.
Oh,
what?
my Lord, why are you
No
allowed
way.
to talk basketball? Why? I love Moses Malone. Elite
You think
rebounder.
Shaq? You think Shaq?
Moses Malone was not Shaq.
I love Doggy. Even though I don't have Moses Malone ahead of Shaq, I know who the hell Moses Malone is. And I get where Doggy's coming from. Doggy's saying, screw the championships. Player versus player. When I watch these guys play, I think Moses Malone is the better center. I get where Doggy's coming from. That's how he's looking at it right now. And I get it. Go check out my Moses Malone playlist. Got some great Moses content. I'm a fan of Moses.
Not a chance.
And he was great, but he wasn't Shaq.
Help, Lord.
Malone led the league in rebounding 6 consecutive years.
So what?
He won 2 MVPs.
So did
He
Rodman.
averaged. Oh, you're nuts.
Shaq.
Here's a question for you. What did
my
Malone
Lord.
do with a bunch of cast-offs against Bird, Parrish, and McHale in the 81 finals? I looked it up today. 31 and a half and 17 rebounds.
Nobody is saying Moses Malone
in their
is a
history.
Hall of
36 and
Famer.
15.
Moses
Against
Malone is a
Jason
Hall of
Collins.
In
Famer.
all the NBA finals, 37 to 15.
Jay, did he play a great center in the NBA finals?
But now you're going to use it against him
Yes.
because of who
Because
he's
he was
playing
so
against.
superior
It
to
doesn't
them.
matter who he would play
Yes,
against.
it does.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, it does. I'll give you another one. May I? I'm not done yet. I have another one. May I? Look at me, Steven. Quickly.
I love
When
Doggy.
Bird won, you guys don't give Bird enough credit. When Bird won the 84 championship and he beat the Lakers,
They do not give Larry Bird enough credit. They don't. Larry Bird was a leader, a pioneer of the NBA and of his decade. And that tough Eastern Conference, man. They don't give Bird enough credit, man. They be disrespecting Bird, dog. They really do. That's why I told y'all, Mad Dog is the dude, man. I'll rock with Mad Dog.
you know the Lakers had 6 Hall of Famers on their roster, including their coach.
What the hell did he have?
Magic, Wilkes, Cooper, Worthy,
What
and
about
McAdoo.
Dennis Johnson? What about
McAdoo.
Robert Parrish? What about
Oh,
McHale?
fine. Do that
What
too.
about Age?
The
What are you
argument
talking
is Magic
about?
and Bird. You didn't let me finish.
Oh, my God.
And how many Hall of Famers? when
You're not
Kobe
allowed
won
to
his
talk
first title,
basketball.
How many? What?
I'm putting you on punishment for talking basketball on this show for a week.
You're
not
crazy.
allowed. You're not allowed. You're
You
nuts.
are crazy.
You are
And one
nuts.
other thing.
I can't take anything he says
One
seriously
other thing.
anymore.
Malone was on the probably top 3 or 4 teams anchored it in the history of the NBA.
Malone was great.
The 82,
Malone
83
was
Sixers
great.
were an all-time classic team.
Moses
Shaq didn't play
Malone-
that
Okay,
kind of team.
listen.
Moses Malone was
I'm enjoying
phenomenal.
this
He was
history
not
lesson,
Shaq.
but I gotta go. We're up
You're
against
my
crazy.
Lord.
You're
Tell me-
nuts.
Molly, you can't join this history lesson because you don't know a damn thing about basketball. And I know you really don't know a damn thing about basketball when it comes to like anything past the last 10 years. You don't even know shit about what's going on right now in the NBA, but you want to act like you do. You sure as hell can't add to this historic basketball debate when they're bringing up players to the 80s. I don't want... She's so annoying to me, bro. They need to get her off the panel, man. Bring a woman up that actually... Because that's what it is. They just want to have a woman on the panel, which is fine. But bring somebody up that actually knows basketball. She ain't even attractive to me. See, they putting her up for it. You know, all these guys be out here simping for this woman. That ain't me. I ain't simping for this woman. She ain't even all that to me. Give me a Doris Burke. She knows basketball. Put her on the panel. You know? But they want to send this mud duck, sit her up in the seat. Because she's eye candy. The who? She's an eyesore to me.
You're telling me Shaq's not the most dominant player to ever play the game.
He didn't have the centers that these other guys played up against. Kareem's playing against great centers.
Debate's over. Coming up on a fresh start with the Dolphins.
Shaq's in my top 10. Actually, Shaq seated firmly at number 10 for me. You can go check out my top 10 players of all time in my top 10 ranking playlist. I think that's what it's called. But I think I've said everything I've had to say. Man, this conversation went everywhere. It started out about Steph Curry, then it got to who the hell's better than Shaq. And, Mad Dog had to take it there. Mad Dog had to bring up the prior legends. And I know those retired NBA players love Mad Dog too, because it's good to see somebody in your corner and talking about your legacy in a time where they want to forget about you and act like you weren't relevant or what you did was not important or inferior to what players are doing now, because all people like to talk about and the casuals like to talk about is LeBron James and the current trend in the NBA. You see, and also a lot of fans have very, 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 very short memories as well. Granted, I think I have a really good memory when it comes to, past eras of basketball. But even with that, over time, certain details kind of get forgotten, or I remember them a little differently what they actually were. And I found out on this channel after I went back and looked at stuff, I was like, I remember that a little bit differently, and I've been wrong. But that kind of happens as time goes on, and I have a bad memory off the jump. But basketball, oh no, none of this was being recorded. For how long? Oh no. Sorry for the technical difficulties on my end. It's so annoying when that happens. It desynced everything, and sorry you lost the video for the rest of that, but I forgot where I even left off. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Steph Curry, like I said, he hasn't done enough to be in the GOAT conversation to me. And like I said, I generally reserve that for players that are elite, or at least really elite on the offensive end, and at least serviceable on the defensive end, and can step up their defense in high leverage moments when necessary. Coupled with your high power offense, whichever way, players that are just elite offensively and elite defensively for a significant amount of time in their career. But that's just me. Steph Curry will have to do a lot more to be in the GOAT conversation for me. I'm sorry, but we'll see what happens. Anything can happen. All right, appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and I'll catch you on the next one. Let me know what you think. We out, baby.